Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. My brother and I were adopted into the same family. He's white and I'm a dark-skinned black woman. Our parents were an interracial couple and our family had some unique challenges over the years. But our parents did their very best for us and tried their hardest to get us as much information as possible with our birth families. It was a little easier with mine because I was orphaned, and I had 2 older living birth relatives who were just incapable of caring for me and needed care themselves. My brother had a very different story, and he had no information at all. When he was 20, he met his wife. They married after 2 years of dating. She always gave me bad vibes. Around the same time they got engaged, he told me she kept bringing up his birth family and how he should find them before the wedding. I had told him he didn't have to do anything, but he knew mom and dad would help him and he would have my support. She went behind his back to find him via DNA and it was a shit show. But for some reason he forgave her and decided to meet the people, which she was thrilled about. It was around that time she told me to get lost because he had sisters who were actually related to him and not, you can guess the slur, who always made his life more difficult. She told me I was crazy if I thought I'd be in her wedding photos. She also said our parents should get used to having only one child. My brother had already started to pull away by then, and because I was hurt and angry, I never told him what went down between his now wife and I. I chose to not attend his wedding, and I know from our parents that the day was very messy. 6 years of no contact happened, and then he reached out and apologized for letting anything come between us. We have been back on speaking terms for over a year now. It took a while, but we are doing so much better. I always loved my brother, but was hurt by the stuff that went down between us and me and his wife. A few days ago, my brother's family ended up in a shelter. He lost the job he had for many years and took a huge pay cut in the new one at the same time that his former landlord decided to illegally kick them out by changing the locks. My brother did contact a lawyer, but nothing is as fast as they show on TV and the movies, and they have no place to go. I live in the same city, which would allow him to keep what job he has now at least, and so he asked if they could stay. I said I would help him and the kids and they could stay, but his wife is not welcome in my home. He told me he would take that, which did surprise me some. His wife is pissed. She came after me about separating her children from her and how unhealthy it will be for them to see her in a shithole while they're safe and comfortable with me. She called me all kinds of names like petty and bishy and an a-hole. But it was the comment about the kids that got me questioning. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, OP. Some people believe they're entitled to act however they please and then they're surprised when they get what they deserve. Wanting to help your brother is a reflection of your genuine care for him, especially after he chooses his wife and his real family over you. You're already doing your best here. Stick to your grounds. You have every right to set your terms. The children will be fine. Your sister-in-law will find a way to make it work for her at the shelter. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. Nope. Let's call her what she is. A racist. She can't call you names to your face and encourage your brother to cut ties, then want to be looked after because it suits her. I would have told him and would still suggest you tell him now, because if she's bringing up the kids to have the same attitude, then nothing gets resolved. You have set a boundary. Keep to it. Not the a-hole at all. That woman is hideous, and I hope this is the first step in your brother divorcing her and taking full custody of the children. If you haven't already, it's time to explain to your brother what she said and why you refused to let her into your life. Provide a safe and loving home for your brother and his kids. Be a model for a loving and secure family relationship. It may be the first time they see a woman give them consistent, loving attention, because I doubt their mom is doing it. Not the a-hole, and it is not your job to educate your brother on what kind of person his wife is. He obviously knows at this point, but chooses to overlook it because of his own reasons, which I'm sure are complex. To clarify, the way that your sister-in-law treats you is clearly not a one-off, one-time thing, nor do her racist views seem like a very well-kept secret, which is why I don't think it's your job to lay it all before your brother. If it were me, I would be tempted to ask why sister-in-law doesn't go stay with her sister-in-laws that are actually related, instead of the one that is always making life more difficult. Story 2. Short and simple, I think. A few years ago, my brother needed help. I let him move into one of my rental properties, and we did it all legal. Lease agreement and everything. Because I was renting to him at a break-even point, we agreed that he was responsible for all the maintenance of the house and yard. Well, he has 4 kids, and the hot water tank isn't enough for his family and he wants a new one. I told him to go ahead. He then proceeded to take the cost of the hot water tank and installation of that month's rent. I reminded him of our agreement. He said he wasn't making improvements to my property for free. I said that the old hot water tank was fine, and he made the decision to replace it. Big argument, and I didn't want to fight, so I said that he was not allowed to make any further changes to the house without my explicit agreement. So he stopped doing maintenance as a protest. The house itself is not pretty, but it is solid. It is old and the wiring in it was not meant for all the modern electronics we have. He wanted to add a new breaker box and run more outlets. I said no thanks. I cannot afford that since I'm not making any money on the house. He started getting bitchy about it and the rent started getting paid late. I tried talking to him, but he said that he had to buy some stuff for the house and he was low on cash. So I sold the house. While the house itself isn't great, it is in an older part of the city, and the property itself is 1/4 of an acre. Every time a house sells in the neighborhood, it is snapped up by developers and turned into multi-family units. Or one guy built a McMansion on his land. I know a lot of the developers and I didn't even need to list the house to have it sold in less than a week. My brother found out when he was served with an eviction notice. He called me to ask what the F. So I told him that the house was causing me headaches and I had an opportunity to make some money and I took it. He said I should have offered him a chance to buy it. I said that he was having trouble making rent. How was he going to qualify for a mortgage? He said I'm an a-hole and that he has the money. He was waiting to make an offer. I asked him if he had money, why he was late on his rent. He started bad-mouthing me to all our family. A few of them took his side and tried to say I was being an a-hole, so I offered all of them a chance to clear his debt to me if they wanted to share their opinion. None of them took me up on the offer. My parents are on my side and they said I shouldn't have rented to him in the first place. I feel bad for my sister-in-law and the kids, but I'm not going to spend the rest of my life subsidizing him. Everyone sucks here, OP. You of course have the legal right to sell your house, but turning your brother's family out on the street without discussing it with him first, or giving him a heads up, is one of those things that makes you an a-hole, even if you are legally in the right. Your brother is also an a-hole. He should have stuck with the agreement or renegotiated a standard agreement with standard improvements and higher rent. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. Why should you lose money to help him out? It was good of you to rent to him at a discount and he crapped on you for your hospitality. You can feel bad for your sister-in-law and nibblings, but they are not your responsibility. You are the a-hole because you didn't even tell him you had sold the house. You got mad at your brother and took it out on his whole family. Also, you're a landlord, so you're an a-hole by default. And the comments about not wanting to modernize the electrical and water tank in your old property makes you sound like you operate in the slumlord end of the market. Everyone sucks here. You should have told him you were selling, not to give him a chance to buy, just to let him know. There is a big difference between keeping someone informed that they will be losing their home and subsidizing their lifestyle. Were you afraid you would give in and help out more if he had a chance to say something? If so, that's your problem. Your brother sucks for the reasons you mentioned. Story 3. My 33 females, husband 30 male, and I got married last week. I had been super chill throughout the whole wedding planning and during the actual event. Because I know shit happens and if anything goes wrong or not exactly how we wanted, it's not that big of a deal and may even make the wedding more memorable for the guests. The one thing that I told my husband I didn't want to happen was I didn't want him smashing cake in my face. I had a suspicion that he would find it funny to do so during the planning, I flat out told him not to do it. I don't think it's funny, I don't want to mess up my makeup that took hours to apply. And I don't want cake on my expensive wedding dress. I told him I would be livid if he did it. He promised that he wouldn't. Well, come the cake cutting time, what did he do? Smashed the cake in my face. It got on my dress and messed up my makeup, just like I knew it would. I'm pretty sure his friends convinced him to do it. Not that that makes it any better. I kept it together, went and cleaned myself up, and put a smile on for the rest of the reception. But afterwards, I let loose on him. I yelled at him that this was the one thing I asked him not to do, and he promised that he wouldn't. He told me I was being dramatic, that it's not a big deal, and we should just be enjoying our time as newlyweds. So was I being overly dramatic? Am I the a-hole? Now for some comments. What worries me isn't that he did the cake smashing itself, it is his response back to you. He should have apologized and listened to you and really realized his mistake. Instead, he diminished your very valid feelings and reasons. Has he apologized yet? For calling you overdramatic? Not the a-hole. You should have made a scene honestly, not the a-hole. And instead of apologizing, telling you that he stands behind that action is honestly even worse. He does not regret it. He lied to you and did something he knew would hurt your feelings. And now he tells you he still doesn't care. I honestly don't know where I would go from here. Therapy maybe? I straight up told my husband that if he had done it, after I'd asked him not to, I would have divorced him. It may seem small, but it's incredibly disrespectful too. A. Not realize how much time your new spouse spent on their makeup or dress. B. Not realize how important all of that is. C. Think it's okay to humiliate them in front of everyone they love. And D. Not effing listen to them when they told you no. Luckily he didn't do it and wasn't even thinking of doing it. But still, OP, don't let this slide. It's a very important piece of information regarding how he sees you.